easy to have a strategy when I'm saying, yeah, guys, you can get into service accommodation by buying a £500,000 holiday home. I understand that if we're starting off on that strategy, it may not be that easy. However, some people can convert it from a buy to let. If you have residential investment property, it may be suitable for a switch to short term. You can buy it specifically, meaning that you're sourcing a property that you know you are going to operate as serviced accommodation. Different from the first one, because we may be shoehorning solutions in there that don't work. Over the years, I'd say 1,000 properties I've seen that have been taken from the buy-to-let market, converted to service accommodation because Airbnb makes more money, there's more margin, but they were never right. They're shoehorned in. So buying things specifically that are already operating or we know would work, and again, what we do, come to our team, the team across the UK. If you go to Danielle in Cheshire, she'll tell you whether that property will work. Emma in Glasgow, Lindsay down in Brighton, our team will tell you whether these will work as holiday lets, as well as other holiday let management companies. We can convert it to something else that isn't a residential tenancy, HMO, B&B, lots of strategies to take away that crazy onerous being at that property, cooking breakfast every day and making it hands-off holiday home business. Some people building it with a few properties these days that people are building specifically. They're very, very exciting for us. And deferred consideration. Again, this is acquiring something where you own it from day one, but you're paying it off. So not going to go too much into that strategy, but we were ready to do 3 of these deals before lockdown. 2 hotels in Blackpool and a holiday lodge, 2 holiday lodge sites, one £650,000. And we would have needed to we would have taken that whole thing over and paying off some loan they had of 65, but we would have taken the title deeds of that property and 2.5 million. Before lockdown hadn't happened, we would have owned that, but I wouldn't have paid any money up front for that. We would have taken the titles of the property, they didn't have a mortgage, and we would have paid them out the profits of the business, transforming it from a loss-making entity into a profit-making, hands-off business. Now, that may seem complicated, and I do understand I've pitched this at the beginner level for service accommodation, but start opening your mind, because if you don't know these opportunities and strategies exist, you will never see them. They'll pass you by. You'll hear people saying deferred consideration. You'll see opportunities to acquire hotels and apart hotels and holiday lodges and operating businesses, and you won't think that it applies to you, but it definitely does. So number 2, lease. 2 ways to have a property, 2 ways to control a property: own it or lease it. Now, you have heard the term, no doubt, rent to rent. I want to open your mind for the rent to rent is like the baby beginner amateur strategy. When you see people doing it online, some very, very successful rent to rent operators there, but it's a much wider field. Let's have a little look at some of the strategies here. So rent to rent, you'll have heard this, or rent to SA. You'll see the acronyms there. Getting a buy-to-let landlord and giving them guaranteed rent for a couple of years to 5 years. People doing very, very well on this. So, again, you need to get those deals right, guys. Some say people are doing very, very well. I'd say 75% of rent-to-rent deals are absolute shit, nonsense, and never work. People come to us every day of the week that we turn management away because we know they won't work. And sometimes we need to rescue people who have taken rent-to-rent leases on. They've got 2-3 years left in the lease, and we know, listen, they're just never, ever going to make the margin that they were initially sold. So be very cautious on that. Some lease options, guys, not going to go too much into this, but you can lease it, pay the rent with the option to buy at a certain time in the future. Very, very smart option to do so. But lease options, you can say, I'll rent this. You've got a certain amount of time to get the property value up. So if you're agreeing a price of £250,000, you could have 3 years to get those books up. You could get it up and running, maximising that income, and then get some commercial finance at the end. And if you're very lucky or very smart, you could perhaps refinance that with none of your money left in. So you're buying it at a certain price, but actually you've agreed 250, but it might now be worth 300, 350, very little of your own money in or none of it, and you've got your deposit built up with added value that you can rack on top. Long-term leasing, I think there's some examples later on in this presentation. I want to take you away from rent to rent, taking one long-term buy to let and buying furniture for it. Expand your mind. There are much, much better, more sophisticated options. They are riskier. They may require a little bit more capital monthly to do long-term leasing, but you can get bigger projects. And rather than taking something new and doing a rent-to-rent and setting it up and hopefully it works, you can actually take over existing leases. Going back to point number one there, rent-to-rent. Every month you'll see, or every week, and even you'll see people desperate to get rid of their rent-to-rent portfolios. Often not because they don't work, but just because people are tired of the industry. We said service accommodation isn't for everyone in one of the previous slides. It isn't, and they could have operational businesses, but our job at Pillows to maximise income, reduce stress and free up time. For people that are operating themselves, they could be maximising their income and making good money, but the stress and the time involved to do that is just not something they want to do. Guests move in on a Friday night, they want to spend time with their family, they want to go on holidays, they want to relax and play golf, they want to spend some time with their kids, picking them up from school, dropping them off. But this business gets in the way. So people will sell on existing leases. Let's have a look and see if I've got a few examples of this. Guys, I've just did a quick search in Blackpool. I am in no way endorsing these deals here, but I just want to show you some examples. This is just a nice, simple Rightmove search. So this is literally buying and it's renting a property. So it's not a rent, you're renting it, and it's already a hotel. By the looks of it, it's not a particularly good one, but you could, let's see, can't remember how many bedrooms this is. You could get a 6-bedroom hotel for 1,700 quid a month rent. So rather than renting a property and then changing it to service accommodation, you could probably rent this yourself. Now, if you are an owner manager and you live here and you want to cook breakfast for strangers for the rest of your life, so for the remainder of the lease, this may be a good option. But for 20 grand a year, you can buy that lease. You can rent that from the owner and operate that should you want it. Again, an example. I'm not saying that is a particularly good example, guys. Simply just opening your mind. I did a very quick search. You can do these on business sites, but you can also just do them on Rightmove. This one here, desperate to sell now. Blackpool's a particular market. We can cover that. We would cover that here in question. We would get these big deals up on that screen at the bottom of that, and then we would analyse these. People come to us, we do monthly training, and we look at these deals, and you walk away knowing that that's a real shit deal or that's an actual golden opportunity. And my thing is, with my knowledge, knowing what I know, and the tools at my disposal to get that, would I take that deal? Would I put my money into these deals? So lots of other opportunities to come and do some cool stuff here. So you can just simply rent that. Now, renting a hotel might not be something you've thought about. If you're in Blackpool, if you're local, if you're putting this into another portfolio of properties, that may be an option. Guys, not endorsing that deal. It was just at the top of the list. I picked the first one. So here's two that aren't on Rightmove, and these are two different examples of long-term leases on properties. These are on business buying sites. So we'd said the first one is ownership. You could buy these buildings perhaps, but you can also buy the right to operate these buildings on a long lease. So these two buildings here, what's this? That is 15 grand a year to lease it. Bottom one is 34 grand a year. Holiday let, 4 stories. The bottom one's 19-bedroom hotel. So for 34 grand a year, what's that, 3 grand a month? 3 grand a month rent, you can have a 19-bedroom hotel. Now, I don't know how much a 19-bedroom hotel, sleeps 46 guests, I don't know how much that would be, but you should be in for 400 grand, really, maybe 300 in Blackpool. Lots of money, but you can lease it and your operating costs are much lower. Let's have a little look at these figures here. So the top one, you hear so many things about no money down, guys. Yeah, no money down. I'm going to not say it's not possible. Is this an hour on my break, Jen? I will be finished 100%, Jen. Is this an hour? Yes, it's my lunch break as well, which is why I'm sipping coffee. I will be gone, hopefully 45 minutes for you guys. So I'm rushing through it. Ask any questions if you want me to elaborate. So for this, we are No money down. I think you're going to need some money. If you're doing a rent to rent, even if you get 2 months rent free, you're still going to furnish it. You're still going to need money to pay for an agent. You're still going to need smoke things, fire blankets, legislation things. So we're going to need some money here to do something with. You can't set up a coffee shop even if you buy a Costa franchise without money. We're going to need some money. What money do we need for this, for lease? Well, 15 grand a year for the top one, 10 grand deposit. So really you're in for 25 grand. May need to pay that quarterly. So the lease, 15 grand to buy the lease. So that's what we're talking about. So the money for this one, the rent is 16,000, but if you want to buy that off the operator, you're buying the lease off somebody for £15,000. You're paying 10 grand deposit, so you're 25 to get in, and then you have to pay the rent. That makes sense? For the bottom one, a little bit more expensive. You're paying 35 grand to buy the lease, so you're buying that off of whoever leases it or owns it at the moment, and then you are paying a 10 grand deposit, and your rent is 25 grand a month for that. Remember, it's rent. You're going to need consumables, cleaning. You're going to need utilities. So it's going to be double that. So 19-bedroom hotel. If you can get in and make a 19-bedroom hotel work, sleeping 46 guests, that is a little business that could make you money. I'm not saying that one in Blackpool is right. However, it does hopefully open your mind. What is your target area? Are you looking to get somebody to manage that, hands off, so that as long as you're providing the money, an agent like Pillow would manage that, totally hands off. You don't need to worry about dealing with guests on Friday nights and daft things like cleaners. But these opportunities will be there and available, and there's always people selling these deals as well. But if you're going to business brokerage sites like Dalton's, businesses for sale, etc., Blackpool will be flooded with these. I would suspect there's 50 deals like that in Blackpool alone. So strategy number 3 is property management. My preferred strategy. This is looking after for other people. So we could look after a 19-bedroom hotel. We don't have 35 grand to buy the lease. Our job's to add value. We've got to break even with Pillow is 100 grand a year. So I've got lots of staff, IT, even the property management software, 10 grand a month to operate that, the pricing software. Very, very expensive business for me personally to break even. However, you can co-host for other people. You don't have any costs. You can have a friend, a family member, a neighbour, somebody that you know that trusts you as a person to go in and co-host their Airbnb accounts. There's 2 differences here. I've put co-host and then full management. Full management is we've got 14 people in the customer service team. We've got web people. We've got SEO people. We've got a videographer. We've got 4 people in the accounts, just paying our owners money at the end of the month, correlating the income, paying the cleaner. So we've four people in the accounts department just simply looking at the bank every day. That can get expensive, but you can do it very, very cheaply by just co-hosting, and you're adding value. Many boutique, accidental hosts helping other people with their admin. You see many people that have these properties owned a lease and they just get a VA to do it. So you can add value to other people, and your value may be time. And we'll cover that in one of the next segments. Sourcing. So people want deals, whether it's managers, you could source for us, by the way. If you bring us deals, you bring us new franchisees, we'll give you the customer acquisition cost. There are people in Pillow probably making, well, not in Pillow, but people making 30 grand a year for not sourcing properties, but finding hosts for us, finding clients, and finding franchisees. So people definitely making £3,000-4,000 a month from home. People I've never met, by the way, that are helping Pillow grow. I'd rather pay you the money than I would Facebook or Google. So that stands. People that need property will pay you to source. So you're getting a fee for helping other people. You can find them units to buy. You can find them units to rent. So you could get relationships with local agents, with people in your network. You could be going to local networking, BNI or whatever, finding deals, analysing them, packaging them up and selling them on to other people. Now, we don't do sourcing in any way. Sourcing is a super, super bad reputation, so I'm not suggesting it as a strategy. I'm simply putting it here as an option for you to explore. Sourcing guests is another one. I would be delighted to pay anyone 10% for a guest. Why? Well, we literally down here, if you check the social media, I had the lady from Airbnb in our office yesterday. She flew up from London to come and see us because we're quite a big client for Airbnb, and they gave us lots of tips and advice. But Airbnb will be charging 18%. Booking.com will be charging 18%. As much as I love Airbnb, and our manager Andrew's absolutely amazing, and they treat us well, we bypass all the shit that people need to deal with Airbnb. We just phone up people and get a mobile number and an email address. It's still costing our host 18%. If we could get you to source us guests for 10%, that is a win. Again, there's people at home sourcing us corporate guests. I found you a £5,000 booking for one of your property managers. They get 500 quid. So this is how, I don't mean simple. You need to do some work. You need to have some infrastructure. But again, for our affiliates, we can train you up, give you all the resources, all the marketing tools to do that, as can other companies. So sourcing guests is a nice way to do that from home. I've put at the bottom, guys, let me explain shelf life strategy. If I'm selling this business with an office and multi-million pounds turnover and future booking, future income and a high balance sheet and it's solid, we could sell that for multiples more than what we earn. And a big thing for Pillow is to get £28 million revenue. If you can get £20 million revenue with Pillow, then we could perhaps get £100 million valuation for the business. And that's my thing. I'll never sell Pillow unless we can get £100 million for it. But if you're doing a sourcing business, that isn't as sellable. It's a shelf life thing. It doesn't have any intrinsic value because you need to keep doing sourcing deals. You don't necessarily get a residual income out of that. So the multiplier in your income on your turnover, when you sell it, well, if I bought it off you, how would I know that business is going to make more money? So probably a shelf life strategy until legislation changes, probably a shelf life strategy until you get oversupplied in the market, which has happened. I'm not bashing deal sourcers in any way. There's some amazing ones there. But guys, you just need to have an edge over all the deal sourcers. If there's deal sourcers been doing this for 5 years and they're making 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month, what are you going to do when you come into the market? What's your edge? What's your USP? How are you going to deliver it better than them? Now, that's quite easy with a lot of deal sourcers because they're selling deals that don't stack up. But how are you getting access to properties that other people don't? That might be nice and easy for you. You might be watching this and saying, well, it's actually, I know some estate agents. I have an estate agent. You can do all this. But for some people, it's very, very hard because they've went in courses, they've paid tens of 20,000 for training on being a sourcer, and there's so much competition. So just be very careful with that one. Strategy number 5, and this is a great one for people starting off, joint ventures. And it's a very broad term. You just partner with other people. You're bringing something to the table. So when I started off in business, I went into management. That was my preferred one. I was bringing time and expertise to the table. I didn't have properties, so I didn't have money. But what I did have was time to add value. So you're bringing something to the table that they don't have. That could be refurbs, it could be conversions, it could be setting up deals, it could be negotiations. You could be a mortgage host. If they've got bad credit, you could set a business up together and you get the credit, you get the mortgage, and you split the profits, and pulling resources together. So what can you bring to the table? Because a lot of people say, Scott, I'm new to service accommodation. How could I bring something to the table with big, solid, experienced investors? Definitely a thing you will have that they don't is time. Definitely time. So if you're going to partner with Pillow and service accommodation, well, you're probably not saying you're not, but you're probably not bringing expertise to the table to add anything new to what we have here at Pillow, but you definitely have time. You'll have passion. You'll have some personality skills that you can bring in. There's always, I put a post on today, I think we've got 4 jobs here at Pillow HQ and 3 regional jobs. So if you're coming even for a job and saying, Scott, I will work and I will do stuff for Pillow, and I might take a lower wage, but you can train me up. We can do all your training courses for free. We can come and learn from the team. So loads of ways where you can add value. Could be some expertise as well. They are a doctor or an architect and they've got loads of money. They could be business people with £5 grand a month profit in their business. They don't want taxed on it. They want something to do with that money. You can be an expert in service accommodation. You could do some deal sourcing. You could set businesses up together. Lots of things. Imagine if you were you want property and you had 10 grand a month profit, and you were going and sourcing hotels, says, I'm going to build you a group of 6 apart hotels in key holiday home areas across the UK. And that would intrinsically be worth more than 6 individual deals. Put them together into a company, boom, you only know 5% more than them, but you know how to set up a limited company, you know how to make it tax efficient, you've maybe been in lots of courses with other training providers, lots of things you can do here, guys, to make that a no-brainer for them to partner with you. So joint ventures, very, very broad, and I have kept it very broad and vague for the purpose of making your brain go. Now, strategy number 6 was 5 ways. This is another way, because I see lots of people making money or trying to make money. Training, coaching, and mentoring. Every second person is doing this. They've had 2 rent-to-rent deals, have been in the industry 5 minutes, and now they're training and mentoring and offering loads of nonsense. Some funny people making videos about this today that had been in the industry for 5 minutes, telling people how to avoid not getting ripped off by people that have been in the industry for 5 minutes. It was very funny to watch, and I don't know if anybody else would look and say, you're accusing other mentors of doing this, but they've been in the industry longer. You are going to need something here. You're going to need some, this isn't for newbies. You're going to need some skills here. If you're doing training, well, you're going to need to teach people service accommodation. If you're renting a room like this and you have 12 people, those 12 people need to take something away. You need to know a lot more than them. So it's not a beginner strategy. If you're doing coaching and mentoring, well, slightly different, 2 different terms there. I'm not going to confuse them, but maybe it's accountability. Maybe it's sitting down, letting people offload. So perhaps you could, if you're coming from other business things, maybe a sports field, leadership training, you don't necessarily know about service accommodation, but you can hold people accountable for their goals. I've got 2 business coaches. None of them know anything about service accommodation. It's not their industry, but they are mindset and leadership coaches, and they kick my ass if I don't do what I'm told. So that's enough for me. I get much more value paying money to a mindset coach than I ever would anybody else in the service accommodation industry. Not to say there's not great trainers and mentors, not to say I wouldn't learn anything, but paying them money to get a tiny bit of knowledge, but something totally different to my field. Mindset, accountability, that big level thinking. Scott, why you want a £100 million business when you could be a £1 billion business? That kind of level of training, mentorship, and coaching is worth the money. You just need to educate others. There are so many people doing it. And again, I'm putting a shelf life business there. Again, there's oversupply in the market. Licenses coming into England, units are going to disappear. It has here in Scotland. So again, how do you put a value on that? You're going to need to have mentoring, coaching. Not to say don't do it, but lots of competition in the market. Just you need an edge. My best strategy, you would have imagined, it is management. There's reasons I went into this. You don't need to own property. You don't need large deposits. You've not got all your money tied up in property. For us, my job here is to add value, maximize income, reduce stress, and free up time. For any management company, one of the things we say, our job is to make you more money than doing it yourself. So our core principal business, now we're doing a little bit of training here and a little bit of webinars, but our principal business, where all these staff dedicate their time to, is managing property for other people. It's adding value. And as long as our value is multiples more than what we charge, we will have a profitable business. So my favorite is management. And that's why when we're doing any other things, I'm not going to do sourcing. I'm not necessarily what I do training and mentoring of people, but for me, it's important that we help other people set up property management companies. Guys, thank you for watching this content. It means a lot, not just for Pillow Partners, a business, but our associated charity, Pillow Safe Havens. Every like, every comment, every share really, really matters. Subscribe to Pillow, follow us, but also to Pillow Safe Havens and all our other websites. It really, really will make a difference in the communities where we manage properties.